My name's Adam. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I've been building and advising businesses for over 10 years. This channel contains tips and tricks I've picked up along the way to help you run a business, use technology to your advantage, and have fun in the process. Today's topic is legacy systems. Every business has systems which people rely on daily and which, if we're honest with ourselves, they absolutely hate using. These don't necessarily need to be the ones that have been there for decades. They could have been introduced months or even just a year ago and suddenly be deemed not fit for purpose and unenjoyable to use by your team and potentially your customers or your clients. So today's topic of conversation is really getting into this, understanding why do we get in this situation in the first place? Why do we end up with these systems? How do we identify them? How do we do something about it? And how do we avoid getting into that same situation again in the future? The first reason a system can become legacy is because of age. Perhaps the system is so old that it can't be updated anymore. It can't be maintained. Perhaps the vendor that sold it to you has gone out of business. Maybe the specialist team inside your organization that built it doesn't exist anymore. This is a classic example of a legacy system, something you rely on, but ultimately don't have the capability to maintain and to update to ensure it's fit for purpose. The other type of legacy system is a modern one. This is not related to age. A system that's been turned on quite recently, maybe software as a service, for example, where it's very easy to spin up new software, embed it into a business and potentially forget about it, not even considering if it's being used effectively. These two things taken together, old software and old systems which are difficult to maintain, and new software and new systems which have only been recently turned on but which aren't really fit for purpose, are two of the key areas to think about when you're analysing if you have legacy systems in your business. Another reason you can end up with legacy systems is because your business has fundamentally changed. It could be that you're delivering a new product or service, which has a completely different workflow to it. This might require changes in the way that you operated your business before, which in turn might require changes in the systems that you have inside that business. Your team might have grown in number or geography, or potentially be operating in a different model than it was before, potentially fully remote or hybrid. Maybe with internal and external partners, with a greater requirement to collaborate and share information between each other. For any of these reasons, a system can become legacy. It can be effectively outgrown because your business needs have changed. And in a situation like that, you really need to think about, are those systems fit for purpose? And if not, what can you do about it? A final reason you might be dealing with a legacy system can be a difficult pill to swallow, but it's worth having an honest conversation with yourself, which is, was that system ever fit for purpose in the first instance? You'd be surprised the number of businesses I've worked with where systems and software are in place, and when I asked them how they evaluated them, what the requirements were they were benchmarking them against, I'm just met with blank faces. Because oftentimes we go to a solution first before we think about the category of problem we're trying to solve. If that's the case, it's nothing to be ashamed about. You are absolutely not alone, and there's certainly a lot you can do to make the situation better. So why are legacy systems a problem in the first place? It's not just a question of whether your customers or clients enjoy using them, or frankly whether your staff do either. There's a higher issue that you need to consider, which is it holding back your business? The pace of change is only increasing. New technologies are bringing new entrants to market on a regular basis. Product and service innovation is accelerating, not slowing down. And with the ability for people to work more flexibly through remote and hybrid settings, your workforce is changing as well. All of these challenges come together to create opportunities for those that can harness them, but existential threats for those that can't. Therefore, it's possible legacy systems, whilst not immediately the death nail for your business, could be in time. It's really important to get on top of it and to try and do something to improve the situation. Okay, so that's the doom and gloom dealt with, and you may have already known that and have gone, Adam, I know I'm in a problem. How do I fix it? So there's quite a few options available to you. First of all, we need to identify what the real issue is. Is it performance? Is it functionality? Is it user experience? Each of these will have different solutions that you'll need to think about when fixing the issue relating to your legacy systems. But I just want to flag, before you go any further, you do have one option that's available that doesn't cost you anything, which is keep calm and carry on. Now, for some businesses, that might be the right thing to do. Before pouring lots of money into modernising legacy systems, you need to think about where you are in your business's life cycle. Are you approaching an exit event? Is there a reason to keep your finances inside the business to improve efficiency in a different way? Only you know the answers to these questions. I certainly don't advocate spending money if you don't have to, but equally, as I said before, keep calm and carry on might not be the right answer. If you're a forward-looking business, you're trying to maximize value, you're trying to stay competitive. If you're in any of those situations, then you really need to be finding an answer to the problems you face. So let's talk about the options available. One option considering is, can you modernize your existing system? If the system is off the shelf from a third party, are there software updates that could be used to bring new life into that system? Does that third party have support packages that you could use to help you squeeze more value out of the system? Is there a new version that you could upgrade to completely? Or perhaps they have another product in their suite that you should be looking at that's more beneficial to your use case. If you built the system in-house, is your team still in place within your business to help you make changes and adaptations to it? If not, could you bring in a third party to help you evaluate where your system is, talk about your goals and objectives, and then build a pathway to get you there using their development team? If you're experiencing infrastructure issues, perhaps you can bring in a vendor who can look at your infrastructure or potentially even suggest migrating you to the cloud. It's very common now that I work with businesses who want to migrate to Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, because they've outgrown their internal infrastructure and they want to get better economies of scale through the cloud. Even in the most regulated of sectors, this is now becoming commonplace and is absolutely something worth exploring if you're currently running all your systems in-house on premises on your own hardware. If you want to improve the user experience for your clients, your customers, or your staff, there are actually a number of options available for you. If your existing system has an application programming interface or an API, then it's possible for third-party developers to build a new user interface on top using that API. Now, that interface may just have a fresh look and feel, which can be good for morale and the feel-good factor that you're moving forward as a business, but you can also essentially create new functionality by mashing together API endpoints from your existing system to create new outcomes that the original developers had never thought about. This is a great option if your existing system has the functionality available, because it means you can actually build on top of it without fundamentally changing or replacing that underlying system. And a final way of thinking about modernization is by saying, if your business has changed, you're delivering new products and services, or you have new workflows, can you use third-party software such as Zapier to join the dots on all of your systems and give you new functionality? For example, you could connect to the underlying API of your existing system, use Zapier to listen for specific events, such as updates to a customer record, and then pass that data into relevant third-party systems, finance, billing, and ERP, for example. Again, it's a great way of modernizing a system, giving it new life without fundamentally replacing it. If the modernization techniques I've been talking about don't feel appropriate because you don't have access to perhaps the developers, or the vendor that you were using no longer supports the software, or your ambitions simply are far greater than anything that could be achieved by modernizing your existing system, then you're probably in the place where you need to be thinking about retiring that system and designing and building a new one from the ground up. That could be a combination of off-the-shelf software, or it could be something that you build in a bespoke fashion with an external or internal development team. If you're going to do this though, it's critical you have a plan. This plan should cover not just your short-term objectives, but your medium and long-term objectives as well. It should cover, what does success look like for your business? What critical pathways and behaviours do you need to adhere to ensure that it works for your organisation? And crucially, and sometimes this is a sensitive topic, are there any lessons that you can learn from your past experiences that will inform and change how you approach this next iteration of your systems? I've been working with businesses for over 10 years, and I've developed a framework that will help you evaluate what your business needs, define your success criteria, and avoid the pitfalls of previous mistakes. It's very in-depth. I cannot cover it in this video, but I will cover it in subsequent videos, so please stay tuned, subscribe, and keep an eye out for that content. So wrapping up, where are we? The first thing I want to say is, you are not alone. I've worked with hundreds of businesses over the last 10 years, and this is a very common situation to be in. The starting point is identifying there's a problem, identifying what the potential solutions are, and then putting a thorough plan of action in place. Irrespective of how you got into this situation, I can reassure you there are a number of solutions available. From the modernisation techniques that we talked about, upgrading software, building bespoke add-ons, third-party integrations and cloud infrastructure, all the way through to acknowledging that something needs to be retired because it's reached end of life, and putting a proper framework in place to help you make better decisions going forward. If you're in the situation where you need to be modernising legacy systems, it could actually be really positive. Developing new products and services means your business has grown. Expanding your customer or client base means you need better capacity for customer service. Perhaps your team has grown and you now have hybrid, remote and in-person workers. Or perhaps your ambitions are just so much greater than they were when you built your system in the first place. Whatever the reason is, the sooner you start analysing the problem, looking for solutions, and putting a framework in place to help you make better decisions going forward, the quicker you'll be able to unlock the potential in your business. So whilst this has started being a topic that might be causing stress, anxiety, maybe even sleepless nights, I hope you're starting to feel better, that you're not alone, this is a common situation to be in, and there's a variety of options available. What I can say is, the sooner you start looking at the problem, identifying solutions, and putting a plan of action in place, the quicker you'll be able to move forward as a business, and future you will thank you for that. If you have questions about modernising legacy systems, or any of the content I've covered in this video, please let me know in the comments below and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Equally, if there are other topics affecting your business that you'd like me to cover, from anything from running a business through to technology, through to growing and scaling, please let me know and I'll try and cover those in future videos. Thanks again for watching. If you'd like to know when I release future content, please subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.